The words cut through me like ice. I don't love you anymore, Simone. I haven't for a long time. Pack your things and get out. I stood in the doorway of what had been our home for 8 years, my hand instinctively moving to my swollen belly. 6 months pregnant. Our baby. The baby we had planned together, celebrated together, prepared for together. Derek, what are you talking about? Is this a joke? He didn't even look at me. Just kept his eyes on his phone, typing something that was clearly more important than his pregnant wife standing in front of him. It's not a joke. Tiffany is moving in this weekend. I need you gone before then. Tiffany. His co-worker from the real estate office. The woman he'd been bringing to our house for work meetings over the past 6 months. The same 6 months I'd been carrying his child. You're replacing me? While I'm pregnant with your baby? He finally looked up and the coldness in his eyes made me step back. This wasn't the man I married. This was a stranger. That baby was a mistake. I told you I wasn't ready. You trapped me with this pregnancy. My legs felt weak. We had planned this baby. He had been the one who suggested we start trying. He had been the one who cried with joy when I showed him the positive pregnancy test. Derek, please. We can talk about this. If you're unhappy, we can go to counseling. We can. I'm done talking. There's a suitcase by the door. I packed some of your clothes. Take it and leave. Now. But where am I supposed to go? I don't have any money. You control all our accounts. He pulled out his wallet and threw $200 on the floor. That should last you a few days. Figure it out. I heard footsteps on the stairs and looked up to see Tiffany descending, wearing my bathrobe, her hair wet from using my shower. She smiled at me. Actually smiled. Don't worry, Simone. I'll take good care of Derek. And your house. It's really beautiful. My house. The house my grandmother had left me. The house I had put in both our names because Derek said married people should share everything. This is my house, I said quietly. My grandmother left it to me. Derek laughed. A cruel, harsh sound I'd never heard from him before. Check the deed, sweetheart. I refinanced it last year. It's in my name now. Legally, this is my house. You're trespassing. The room started spinning. He had forged my signature. He had stolen my grandmother's house. You can't do this. I already did. Now get out before I call the police and have you removed. Tiffany walked over to Derek and put her arm around his waist. She was younger than me. Prettier. Thinner. Everything I wasn't anymore with my pregnant body and swollen ankles. You should go, she said to me. This is awkward for everyone. I picked up the $200 from the floor. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the bills. I grabbed the suitcase by the door and walked out into the freezing February night. Behind me I heard the door close. Then lock. Then the sound of their laughter. I stood on the sidewalk in front of my grandmother's house, watching through the window as Derek and Tiffany kissed in my living room. The baby kicked inside me. Hard. Like she was angry too. I had no car. Derek had taken my keys months ago, saying he needed to use my car for work. I had no phone. He had insisted we share a phone plan, and when I left, I realized he had canceled my service. I had no credit cards. Everything was in his name. All I had was a suitcase, $200, and a baby growing inside me. The temperature was dropping. I could see my breath in the air. I started walking toward the main street, pulling the suitcase behind me. Each step hurt. My back ached. My feet were swollen. But I kept walking because I had no choice. After 30 minutes, I found a cheap motel. The kind with flickering neon signs and stains on the carpet. The clerk looked at my pregnant belly and asked for payment up front. $40 a night. I paid for 3 nights. That left me with $80. $80 to feed myself and my baby until I could figure out what to do next. The room was tiny and smelled like cigarettes and mold. The bed was hard and the sheets were thin. But it was warm. And it was shelter. I sat on the edge of the bed and finally let myself cry. Deep, painful sobs that shook my whole body. The baby kicked again and I put my hand on my belly. I'm sorry, I whispered to her. I'm so sorry you have him as a father. But I promise you, baby girl, I will protect you. I will figure this out. We're going to be okay. I didn't believe my own words. But I said them anyway. Because what else could I do? I woke up on the motel bed still wearing my clothes from yesterday. Everything hurt. My back, my legs, my head. But mostly my heart. The morning light came through the thin curtains, making the room look even worse than it had last night. Water stains on the ceiling. Cracks in the walls. A bathroom door that didn't close all the way. My stomach growled. I hadn't eaten since yesterday morning. I counted my money again. $80. The motel was paid for 2 more nights. That left $40 for food. I walked to the small store across the street and bought bread, peanut butter, bananas, and a gallon of water. $23. I was down to $57 total. Back in the room, I made myself eat even though I had no appetite. The baby needed food. That was all that mattered now. I thought about calling someone. But who? My parents had passed away years ago. My grandmother, who raised me, died 5 years ago and left me the house. The house Derek had stolen. I had friends once. But over the past few years, Derek had slowly isolated me from them. He said they were bad influences. He said they didn't like him. He said I needed to choose between him and them. Like a fool, I chose him. My only living relative was my Aunt Helena, my father's sister. But I barely knew her. She had moved to Europe before I was born and rarely visited. I had only met her 3 times in my entire life. The last time was at my grandmother's funeral. I remembered her as elegant and sophisticated. She owned property or something. I wasn't sure. We never talked much. She seemed disappointed in my life choices, especially Derek. She had pulled me aside at the funeral and said, "That man will break your heart. Leave him while you still can." I should have listened. I tried to sleep but couldn't. My mind kept replaying everything. 8 years of marriage. 8 years of love, or what I thought was love. How had I not seen this coming? The signs were there. I just ignored them. The late nights at work. The phone calls he took in another room. The way he stopped touching me once I got pregnant. The way Tiffany's name came up more and more in his conversations. I had asked him once if something was going on. He called me paranoid, crazy, insecure. He made me feel guilty for even questioning him. And now here I was, homeless, broke, pregnant, betrayed. On the second day, I walked to the public library. I needed to use a computer. I needed to figure out my options. I researched women's shelters, legal aid, government assistance. Everything required documentation I didn't have. My ID was in Derek's house. My birth certificate. My social security card. Everything. I felt hopeless. On my 3rd day at the motel, just as I was trying to figure out where to go next with my last $17, there was a knock on my door. A man in an expensive suit stood outside. He looked completely out of place at this motel. "Mrs. Simone Bennett?" "Yes." "My name is Gregory Walsh. I'm an attorney with Walsh & Associates in New York. I've been looking for you for 2 weeks. Your husband told me you were out of town. May I come in?" I let him in, confused and scared. Was Derek suing me for something? Was I in trouble? Mr. Walsh sat in the only chair and opened his briefcase. "I have news about your Aunt Helena Montgomery. I'm very sorry to inform you that she passed away 6 weeks ago in Paris." I felt a pang of sadness even though I barely knew her. She was my last living relative. "I'm sorry to hear that. Mrs. Bennett, I'm here because your aunt left you something in her will. Something quite substantial." He pulled out a folder and handed it to me. I opened it and stared at the numbers. They didn't make sense. "I don't understand. Your Aunt Helena was one of the wealthiest women in Europe. She owned a real estate empire spanning 47 countries. Properties in major cities, commercial buildings, luxury developments, resort properties, and more. She never married. Never had children. And she left everything to you." I looked at the document again. At the number with all those zeros. $300 billion. This can't be real. "It's very real, Mrs. Bennett. Your aunt had been watching you from afar for many years. She knew about your situation. She knew about your marriage. She wanted to help you, but she also wanted to see if you would leave him on your own. When she became ill last year, she made her final arrangements. Everything goes to you." I started crying. Not sad tears. Shocked tears. Overwhelmed tears. "There's more," Mr. Walsh said gently. "Your aunt's people have been investigating your husband. She wanted you to have all the information. Derek Bennett forged your signature on the house deed. He emptied your joint savings account. He took out credit cards in your name. He owes over $200,000 in gambling debts. That's why he needs Tiffany. She comes from money. He's using her to pay off his debts." Everything clicked into place. What do I do now? Now, Mrs. Bennett, you become one of the most powerful women in the world. And you never have to see your husband again unless you choose to. 3 days later, I sat in a conference room on the 60th floor of a Manhattan skyscraper. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed the city spread out below. The conference table was solid mahogany. Everything in this room probably cost more than Derek made in a year. 5 lawyers sat across from me, each one representing a different part of my Aunt Helena's empire. Mr. Walsh sat beside me, guiding me through everything. "Let's start with the overview," said Patricia Reed, a sharp-eyed woman in her 50s. The Montgomery Real Estate Group owns properties valued at approximately $300 billion. This includes office buildings, apartment complexes, hotels, resorts, and commercial properties across 47 countries. She pulled up a presentation on the large screen behind her. The bulk of the holdings are in Europe, particularly London, Paris, Monaco, and Geneva. However, there are significant properties in New York, Los Angeles, Miami, Tokyo, Dubai, and Singapore. The portfolio generates approximately $18 billion in annual revenue. My head was spinning. These numbers were beyond anything I could comprehend. Your aunt also established several charitable foundations, continued another lawyer, James Chin. Wait, I apologize. James Harrison. These foundations focus on education, women's rights, and affordable housing. They're fully funded and operate independently, but you'll have oversight. I don't understand why she chose me, I said quietly. I barely knew her. Patricia smiled. Your aunt left you a letter. We were instructed to give it to you today. She handed me a cream-colored envelope with my name written in elegant handwriting. I opened it with shaking hands. My dear Simone, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm sorry we didn't know each other better. That was my fault, not yours. After your father died, I threw myself into work and forgot about family. By the time I realized what I'd lost, years had passed. I've been watching you from afar. I hired people to check on you to make sure you were safe. I saw you marry that man. I wanted to stop you, but you seemed happy. Then I watched him change. I watched him isolate you, control you, diminish you. I wanted to help you, but I also wanted you to find your own strength. I wanted you to leave him on your own, not because I rescued you. When I became ill, I realized I was running out of time. So I made my arrangements. This empire is now yours. Not because you're my only living relative, but because I believe you have what it takes to run it. You're stronger than you know, Simone. You're smarter than that man ever gave you credit for. Use this wealth wisely. Help other women who are trapped like you were. Build something that matters. And never, ever let anyone make you feel small again. You're going to be a mother soon. Show your daughter what a powerful woman looks like. All my love, Aunt Helena. I wiped tears from my face. Patricia handed me a tissue. Take your time, she said gently. When I composed myself, we continued. You have 3 options, Mr. Walsh explained. First, you can sell everything and simply take the cash. Second, you can hire managers to run the empire while you collect income. Third, you can take an active role in managing the properties yourself. What did my aunt do? She was very hands-on. She visited properties regularly, made all major decisions, and was known throughout the industry as brilliant and ruthless when necessary. I don't know anything about real estate. Neither did she when she started, Patricia said. She learned. And we can teach you. You'll have the best advisors in the world. But the decision is yours. I thought about Derek. About how he treated me like I was stupid. Like I couldn't handle anything important. Like I needed him to make all the decisions. I thought about Tiffany standing in my grandmother's house wearing my robe. I thought about my daughter growing inside me. I want to learn, I said firmly. I want to run it myself. The lawyers smiled. Then let's begin, Patricia said. Over the next 4 hours, they walked me through everything. The properties, the income streams, the management teams, the investments, the ongoing projects. It was overwhelming, but I absorbed every word. We've prepared a penthouse for you, Mr. Walsh said as we finished. It's one of your aunt's properties. Actually, it's one of your properties now. 65th floor, full security, fully furnished. You can move in tonight. What about Derek? Does he know? Not yet. We've been very discreet. However, the inheritance will become public record soon. We estimate you have about 2 weeks before the news breaks. Good, I said. I want him to find out the same way everyone else does. That evening, I moved into my new home. The penthouse was stunning. Modern furniture, a kitchen that looked like it belonged in a magazine, and a view that stretched across the entire city. I stood at the window looking out at the lights and put my hand on my belly. Welcome home, baby girl, I whispered. Everything is going to be different now. The next morning, I woke up in a bed so comfortable I thought I was dreaming. Egyptian cotton sheets. A mattress that felt like sleeping on a cloud. Pillows that seemed designed specifically for my pregnant body. For the first few seconds, I forgot where I was. Then it all came back. The inheritance. The lawyers. The $300 billion. I got up and walked through the penthouse in the morning light. It was even more beautiful than I'd noticed last night. The living room had 20-foot ceilings and art on the walls that was probably worth millions. The The kitchen had appliances I didn't know how to use. There were 3 bedrooms, each with its own bathroom. One of the bedrooms would be perfect for my daughter. A knock on the door startled me. I opened it to find Patricia Reed standing there with 2 other women. "Good morning, Simone. I hope you don't mind us stopping by. I wanted to introduce you to your new team. This is Dr. Rachel Thompson, one of the best obstetricians in New York. And this is Nicole Martinez, who will be your personal assistant." Dr. Thompson was a kind-faced woman in her 40s. Nicole was younger, maybe 30, with efficient energy and a warm smile. "It's nice to meet you both," I said, feeling overwhelmed again. "Dr. Thompson will be managing your prenatal care," Patricia explained. "Given everything you've been through, we want to make sure you and the baby are healthy. And Nicole will help you with everything else. Appointments, schedules, anything you need." "I don't need all this," I started to say. "Yes, you do," Patricia said firmly but kindly. "You're about to become one of the most powerful businesswomen in the world. You're also pregnant and recovering from trauma. Let us help you." Dr. Thompson examined me right there in the penthouse. She brought portable equipment and took her time checking everything. "Your blood pressure is elevated," she said with concern. "Not dangerous, but we need to watch it. You're also underweight for 6 months pregnant. Have you been eating?" "Not really. The past week has been difficult." "We're going to fix that," Dr. Thompson said. "I'm prescribing prenatal vitamins and I want you eating 5 small meals a day. Nicole will make sure you have healthy food available at all times." After they left, Nicole stayed behind. "Okay," she said, sitting down with a tablet. "Let's talk about your immediate needs. Clothes first of all. Everything you own is at your ex-husband's house. We need to get you a complete wardrobe including maternity clothes and business attire." "I can't afford," I started then stopped. "I keep forgetting." Nicole smiled. "It takes time to adjust. You're a billionaire now, Simone. You can afford anything. Actually, you can afford everything." We spent the morning shopping online. Nicole helped me order clothes, shoes, and everything I needed. She was efficient but patient, explaining everything and never making me feel stupid for asking questions. "Now let's talk about security," she said. "Patricia has assigned you a security team. They'll be discreet but always nearby. Given your wealth and your situation with Derek, it's necessary. Derek wouldn't hurt me. Maybe not. But once he finds out about your inheritance, he'll try to contact you. Probably aggressively. The security team will make sure he can't get to you unless you want him to." I thought about that. Derek, who threw me out pregnant and broke, trying to get back into my life once he knew I had money. "I don't ever want to see him," I said. "Then you won't have to." Over the next week, I began learning about my new empire. Patricia assigned me tutors. Real estate experts, financial advisors, property managers. They came to the penthouse each day and taught me everything. I learned about commercial leases and property values. I learned about market trends and investment strategies. I learned about the different properties I owned and what made each one valuable. To my surprise, I was good at it. The numbers made sense to me. The strategies felt logical. When the tutors explained problems with certain properties, I often had ideas for solutions. "You have your aunt's mind for this," Patricia said one afternoon. "She would be proud." I also started taking care of myself. Dr. Thompson visited twice a week. I ate healthy meals. I slept in that wonderful bed. I did prenatal yoga. The baby seemed happier. She kicked more, stronger kicks that felt like joy instead of distress. I bought baby furniture online and had it delivered. Nicole and I spent an afternoon setting up the nursery. Soft colors, comfortable chairs, everything a baby would need. As I arranged tiny clothes in the dresser, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. 2 weeks after the meeting with the lawyers, Patricia called me. "The news is breaking today," she said. "Forbes is running a story about the Montgomery real estate empire and its new owner. By this evening, everyone will know. Including Derek. Including Derek." I took a deep breath. I'm ready. But I wasn't ready. Not really. Because when Derek found out what I'd inherited, everything was about to change. The Forbes article hit the internet at noon. By 1 o'clock, my phone had exploded with notifications. Not my old phone, that was long gone. Nicole had set me up with a new number that only a few people knew. But the notifications were from news alerts, social media mentions, and messages from the property management teams around the world. The New York real estate queen, Simone Bennett, inherits $300 billion empire. The article had everything. Photos of my Aunt Helena at various properties over the years. Details about the vast portfolio spanning 47 countries. and a photo of me, though I had no idea where they'd gotten it. It was from my grandmother's funeral 5 years ago. And then at the bottom, one line that made my blood run cold: Bennett is married to Derek Bennett, a real estate agent in Philadelphia. Nicole came into my office. Yes, I now had an office in the penthouse, with coffee and a concerned expression. It started, she said. Derek has been calling every number associated with the Montgomery Group. He's demanding to speak with you. He's also contacted 3 different tabloids claiming you're his wife and he deserves part of the inheritance. I felt anger rise in my chest. He threw me out pregnant. He stole my house. Now he wants my aunt's money? Yes. And Tiffany has already given an interview to a gossip website. She claims you abandoned Derek and now you're trying to use your wealth to destroy their relationship. I laughed. It wasn't a happy sound. She said I abandoned him? People believe what they want to believe. The security team has been instructed to keep Derek away from this building and any of your properties. If he shows up, they'll handle it. Good. I pushed Derek out of my mind and focused on what mattered. Learning my business. Patricia had arranged meetings with the regional managers for each of my major holdings. They came to New York over the next 2 weeks, each one presenting their properties and their strategies. I met the team managing my London properties. 12 buildings in prime locations, generating over $2 billion a year in revenue. The manager, a serious woman named Catherine Wright, walked me through every detail. Your aunt was brilliant, Catherine said. She bought these properties 30 years ago when London was affordable. Now they're worth 50 times what she paid. But there's a problem. What problem? Building 7 is underperforming. The retail spaces on the ground floor are mostly empty. The tenants upstairs are complaining about noise from construction nearby. We're losing money. I studied the reports she'd brought. The building was in a good location, near the financial district. But the empty retail spaces were costing us millions in lost revenue. What if we don't try to lease the retail spaces? I said, thinking out loud. What if we convert them into a private gym and business center for the building's residents? A perk of living there. Make the building more desirable. Catherine stared at me. That's actually brilliant. The residents are mostly young professionals. They'd love that. And we could raise their rent to cover the cost. Let's do it. Over the next month, I made decisions like that for properties around the world. I was learning that real estate wasn't just about owning buildings. It was about understanding what people needed and providing it. I converted an underperforming hotel in Miami into luxury condos. I turned a struggling shopping center in Tokyo into a tech hub for startups. I renovated an old apartment building in Paris and made it eco-friendly, which increased its value by 40%. The regional managers started to respect me. I wasn't just my aunt's niece. I was their boss and I knew what I was doing. But I didn't forget where I came from. I remembered being broke, pregnant, and scared. I called Patricia into my office one morning. I want to start a foundation, I said, for pregnant women in crisis. Women who are homeless, abused, or abandoned. I want to provide them with housing, medical care, job training, and childcare. Everything they need to get back on their feet. Patricia smiled. Your aunt would love that. How much do you want to commit? $5 billion to start. Is that enough? That's more than enough. We called it the Hope Foundation after my daughter. We bought buildings in 10 major cities and converted them into supportive housing. Each location had apartments, an on-site clinic, a daycare, and a job training center. I hired staff who understood what these women were going through. Social workers, counselors, teachers, and medical professionals. I made sure every woman who came to us would be treated with dignity and respect. The first location opened in Philadelphia, my city, the place where Derek had thrown me out. I didn't go to the opening. I wasn't ready to go back there yet, but I watched the video Nicole took. 30 women moved into the building that first day. 30 women who had been where I was just 2 months ago. One woman, heavily pregnant like I had been, cried when she saw her new apartment. I thought I was going to have my baby in a shelter, she said. I can't believe this is real. I cried watching that video. Happy tears this time. My daughter kicked inside me and I put my hand on my belly. You're going to be born into a different world than I was, I told her. A world where your mother has power. Where we can help people. Where no one can ever hurt us again. Dr. Thompson visited that afternoon for my checkup. Everything looks perfect, she said. Your blood pressure is normal. The baby is healthy and growing well. You've gained the right amount of weight. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. I'm happy, I said, surprised by my own words. For the first time in years, I'm actually happy. It shows, Dr. Thompson said warmly. Happiness is good for babies. That night, I stood at my window looking out at the city lights. My city. In a way, I own pieces of it. Buildings where people lived and worked and built their dreams. Derek was out there somewhere. Probably still trying to reach me. Probably still thinking he could get his hands on my money. But he couldn't touch me anymore. I had built something he could never understand. An empire. A legacy. A purpose. And I was just getting started. The Business Channel interview request came on a Tuesday morning. Nicole brought me the email during breakfast. They want you on Power Players, she said. It's their biggest show. They profile influential business leaders. They're calling you the surprise real estate queen of the year. I ate my yogurt and fresh berries, one of 5 small meals I ate daily now, and considered it. Will it help our tenants if I do this? It'll help everyone. Good publicity means more interest in our properties, more investment opportunities, and more credibility for the Hope Foundation. Plus, it'll establish you as a serious businesswoman, not just someone who inherited money. Then let's do it. The interview was scheduled for 2 weeks later. Nicole hired a media coach to prepare me. We practiced answers to tough questions. How to stay calm under pressure. How to redirect conversations I didn't want to have. They'll ask about Derek, the coach warned. They always go for the personal drama. Be ready. I was. The interview took place in one of my New York buildings. They set up cameras in the conference room. The host was Angela Morrison, a sharp interviewer known for making powerful people squirm. But I wasn't nervous. I was ready. Simone Bennett, Angela began once the cameras rolled. 3 months ago you were unknown. Now you're one of the wealthiest women in the world. How does that feel? Overwhelming at first, I said honestly. But now it feels like responsibility. I have the resources to help people and change lives. That's what I'm focused on. Let's talk about the Hope Foundation. Why pregnant women specifically? I touched my belly, which was impossible to hide now at 7 months pregnant. Because I know what it's like to be pregnant and scared. To not know where you'll sleep or how you'll feed your baby. No woman should have to go through that. Your husband, Derek Bennett, has been vocal in the media about your inheritance. He claims he deserves a portion of it. What's your response? Here it was. The moment they wanted. The drama. I looked directly at the camera. Derek Bennett is not part of my life anymore. The inheritance came from my Aunt Helena, after our separation. It has nothing to do with him. And I have no interest in discussing him further. But he's the father of your child. Biology doesn't make someone a parent. Showing up does. Derek chose not to show up. Angela paused, sensing she wouldn't get more on that topic. She moved on. You've made significant changes to your properties in just 3 months. The London Gym project, the Miami condo conversion, the Tokyo Tech Hub. Critics say you're moving too fast. Critics said my aunt moved too fast too. She proved them wrong. I'm not here to play it safe. I'm here to build something that matters. What's next for the Montgomery Real Estate Group? I smiled. We're expanding the Hope Foundation to 20 more cities. We're also developing affordable housing projects that mix market rate and subsidized apartments. Good housing shouldn't be a luxury. The interview aired that Friday night. Nicole, Patricia, and I watched it together in my penthouse. You killed it, Nicole said. Social media is going crazy. Hashtag Simone the Queen is trending. Patricia nodded approvingly. You handled the Derek question perfectly. Firm but not emotional. Now everyone knows you've moved on. But Derek hadn't moved on. The next morning he was waiting outside my building. Security called Nicole, who came to my office immediately. Derek is downstairs with reporters. He's claiming you won't let him see his child. He's making a scene. I looked at Patricia. What are my legal options? File for divorce immediately and request a restraining order. We have documentation of his abuse, his theft, and his abandonment. No judge will side with him. Do it. But first I did something petty. Something my Aunt Helena probably would have smiled at. I called the concierge at my Philadelphia building, the Hope Foundation location that Derek knew about because it had been publicized. There's a man named Derek Bennett who might try to enter the building. He's not a resident or a guest. If he shows up, call the police immediately. Yes, Ms. Bennett. We'll handle it. Then I called my lawyer handling the house situation. My grandmother's house that Derek had stolen. I want my house back. Whatever it takes. The forgery evidence is solid. We can force a sale. You have more than enough money to buy it back. Then do it. Today. By that evening, Derek received 3 legal notices: divorce papers, a restraining order, and noticed that his house, my grandmother's house, was being seized due to fraud and would be sold at auction. Nicole showed me the security footage from outside my building. Derek reading the papers, his face going white, then red, then him screaming at the reporters. I should have felt satisfaction, but I just felt tired. Make sure he can't get near me, I told security. Ever. The story exploded in the media. Real estate queen kicks out cheating husband. Billionaires revenge. From homeless to powerful in 3 months. The articles painted Derek as a villain and me as a wronged woman seeking justice. It wasn't revenge though. It was protection. Tiffany gave another interview crying about how I was destroying their lives. About how Derek really loved me and wanted to work things out. About how I was being cruel. The internet didn't believe her. Comment sections filled with support for me and disgust for them. But I didn't read the comments. I didn't care what strangers thought. I cared about my business. And my baby. Dr. Thompson came for my weekly appointment. How are you feeling? Stress can affect the baby. I feel fine, I said honestly. Derek can't hurt me anymore. That's not stress. That's freedom. Good. Because you're going to meet your daughter soon. Maybe sooner than we thought. My heart jumped. Is something wrong? No, everything is perfect. But babies come when they're ready. And based on how she's positioned, I'd say she's getting ready. I put my hand on my belly. My daughter moved under my palm. We're ready for you, I whispered to her. Whenever you want to come. That night, I sat in the nursery I'd prepared. Soft gray walls. White furniture. A rocking chair by the window. Everything perfect and waiting. Derek was somewhere out there, angry and desperate. But he couldn't reach me here. He couldn't touch this piece I'd built. I'd won. Not because I'd destroyed him, though the legal system was handling that just fine. I'd won because I'd built a life he could never touch. A kingdom he could never enter. And soon, I'd hold my daughter in my arms. My empire's princess. The confrontation happened on a Tuesday afternoon. I was leaving a business lunch at one of my downtown properties when Derek appeared. He pushed past security and grabbed my arm. Simone, please. We need to talk. I jerked my arm away. My security team moved in immediately, but I held up my hand to stop them. You have 30 seconds, I said coldly. Then I'm having you arrested for violating the restraining order. He looked terrible. His clothes were wrinkled. His hair was a mess. His eyes were wild and desperate. This was not the confident man who had thrown me out 3 months ago. I made a mistake, he said, his voice breaking. The biggest mistake of my life. I love you, Simone. I never stopped loving you. Please let me explain. 20 seconds. Tiffany is gone. She left me when she found out I had nothing. She was only with me for the money. I see that now. You were the real deal. You loved me when I had nothing. You stood by me for 8 years. And I threw it all away. 10 seconds. That's my baby, he pointed at my belly. Our baby. She deserves to have her father. I know I messed up, but I'm her dad. You can't keep her from me. Time's up. I nodded to security. Wait. Derek dropped to his knees on the sidewalk. People walking by stopped to stare. I'll sign whatever you want. A prenup, a postnup, anything. I don't want your money. I just want you. Please, Simone. Please give me another chance. I looked down at him and felt nothing. No anger. No sadness. No love. Nothing at all. Do you remember what you said to me that night? The night you threw me out. He looked up at me, tears streaming down his face. I was angry. I didn't mean. You said the baby was a mistake. You said I trapped you. You threw $200 on the floor and told me to figure it out. You let your mistress wear my bathrobe and laugh at me in my own grandmother's house. I'm sorry. You're not sorry you did it. You're sorry you lost. You're sorry Tiffany left you. You're sorry you're broke and I'm not. But you're not sorry you hurt me. Because you don't think you did anything wrong. You think this is just a bad break for you. I stepped back. Security, please escort Mr. Bennett off the property. And call the police. He violated his restraining order. No. Simone, please. That baby needs her father. You can't do this alone. You need me. I looked at him one last time. I don't need anyone. Especially not you. The police arrived within minutes. They arrested Derek for violating the restraining order. He was screaming my name as they put him in the car. I got into my car, driven by my security team, and went back to my penthouse. Nicole was waiting with hot tea and concern. Are you okay? I'm fine. Actually, I'm better than fine. I just realized I don't feel anything for him anymore. Not even hate. He's just nothing to me. Good. Because we need to talk about something else. Something important. She pulled up her laptop. Derek's lawyers filed papers today. He's suing for spousal support and claiming he's entitled to part of the inheritance because you were still legally married when your aunt died. I felt my blood pressure rise. Can he win? Patricia says no. The inheritance is protected. But he can make things messy and expensive. His lawyers are arguing that he supported you during your marriage and therefore deserves compensation. Supported me? I paid most of our bills. I worked full-time until he convinced me to quit. He stole my savings. We know. And Patricia has all the evidence. Bank statements showing you deposited your paychecks into the joint account. Records showing Derek withdrew large amounts for business expenses that were actually gambling debts. Everything. Then why is he doing this? Because he has nothing left to lose. Tiffany is gone. His job fired him for all the negative publicity. The house is being seized. He's desperate. Patricia arrived an hour later with her legal team. We go to court next month, she said. The judge will hear Derek's claims and our counter-evidence. I'm not worried. We have a strong case. But I need you to be prepared for what he'll say. What do you mean? His lawyers will paint you as a cold, heartless woman who abandoned her husband when she got rich. They'll claim you're keeping his child from him out of spite. They'll try to make you look bad. Let them try. The court date came faster than I expected. I wore a navy suit that somehow still fit over my 8-month pregnant belly. Patricia and her team surrounded me as we entered the courthouse. Derek was there with his lawyer, a sleazy-looking man in an ill-fitting suit. Derek tried to approach me but security blocked him. Ms. Bennett, the judge said once we were all seated, your husband is requesting spousal support and a portion of your inheritance. His lawyers claim he supported you during your marriage and is entitled to compensation. Your Honor, Patricia stood. Mr. Bennett's claims are false. We have extensive evidence showing that Ms. Bennett was the primary breadwinner during most of their marriage. We also have evidence that Mr. Bennett forged Ms. Bennett's signature to steal her grandmother's house, emptied their joint bank account without her knowledge, and racked up over $200,000 in gambling debts using credit cards in her name. She presented the evidence. Bank statements, forged documents, credit card bills. Everything laid out clearly. Derek's lawyer tried to object, but the evidence was overwhelming. Furthermore, Patricia continued, Mr. Bennett abandoned Ms. Bennett when she was 6 months pregnant. He physically removed her from the home and gave her only $200. She was forced to stay in a motel while homeless and pregnant. The judge looked at Derek with disgust. Is this true, Mr. Bennett? I was under a lot of stress, Derek stammered. I wasn't thinking clearly, but I love my wife. I want to make things right. You love her money, the judge said sharply. Mr. Bennett, your claims are denied. You're entitled to nothing from Ms. Bennett's inheritance. As for spousal support, given your actions, I'm denying that as well. In fact, I'm ordering you to pay restitution to Ms. Bennett for the money you stole from her accounts and for the house you fraudulently obtained. Derek's face went white. Your Honor, I don't have any money. Then you'll get a job and work out a payment plan. This court does not reward theft and abandonment. We're done here. Outside the courthouse, Derek tried one more time. He pushed through the crowd and grabbed my arm. You're really going to do this? You're going to let our daughter grow up without a father? I pulled my arm away. My daughter will grow up knowing her mother is strong, successful, and never settles for less than she deserves. That's better than any father who doesn't respect women. You're making a mistake, Simone. No, Derek. Marrying you was the mistake. Leaving you was the smartest thing I ever did. I walked away from him for the last time. That night my water broke. Dr. Thompson arrived at the penthouse within 20 minutes of my water breaking. She was calm and professional, setting up everything she needed right there. We're having this baby at home? I asked between contractions. You have the best medical equipment money can buy right here, she said. And a full surgical team on standby at the hospital 5 minutes away if we need them. But home births can be beautiful when everything is going well. And everything is going well. Nicole held my hand. Patricia had offered to leave, but I asked her to stay. These two women had become my family over the past 4 months. Labor was long, painful, exhausting, but also strangely empowering. With each contraction I thought about how far I'd come. From that motel room to this penthouse. From homeless and broke to one of the most powerful women in the world. 18 hours later, at 6:47 in the morning, my daughter was born. She was perfect. tiny and pink and crying with all her might. Dr. Thompson placed her on my chest and I felt something shift inside me. A love so fierce and protective it took my breath away. "Hi, Hope," I whispered to her. "I'm your mama. I've been waiting for you." She opened her eyes and looked at me. Really looked at me. And I swore she understood. "She's beautiful," Nicole said, crying happy tears. "She looks like you," Patricia added. "She's going to be strong." I held my daughter and cried. Not sad tears. Not scared tears. Happy tears. Grateful tears. "I promise you," I whispered to Hope, "you'll never know what it's like to be powerless. You'll never know what it's like to be scared and alone. You'll grow up knowing you can do anything. Be anything. That you're loved and protected and valued." Derek tried to visit the hospital, not knowing I'd had Hope at home. Security turned him away. He tried calling. I blocked his number. He tried sending flowers. They were returned. He wanted to meet his daughter. But I remembered his words that night. That baby was a mistake. Those words disqualified him from being her father. My lawyers filed paperwork to terminate his parental rights. Given his abandonment and his words on record, the judge approved it quickly. Derek Bennett was legally no longer Hope's father. He tried to fight it, but he had no money for lawyers now. The restitution payments I'd been awarded were taking most of what he earned. Meanwhile, I focused on being a mother. Those first weeks were hard. Hope didn't sleep much. She cried often. But I had help. Nicole moved into one of the spare bedrooms to help with night feedings. Dr. Thompson visited daily to check on us. Patricia stopped by with baby clothes and advice. I'd never felt less alone. One morning, when Hope was 3 weeks old, I was feeding her by the window when my phone rang. It was Catherine, my London property manager. "Simone, I'm sorry to bother you, but we have a situation. The investors for the new hotel project are threatening to pull out. They don't think you're committed to the business anymore since you had the baby." I felt anger flash through me. Set up a video conference. Today. 6 hours later, accounting for the time difference, I sat in my office with Hope sleeping in a bassinet beside me. The investors appeared on screen. 3 older men in suits. "Gentlemen," I said, "I understand you have concerns. Ms. Bennett," one of them said condescendingly, "we respect that you have personal obligations now. But this is a $200 million project. It requires full attention and commitment. And it has my full attention and commitment. Being a mother doesn't make me less capable of running my business. It makes me more motivated to build something that lasts. With all due respect." "No," I interrupted. "With all due respect to me and every working mother in the world, you don't get to question my commitment because I had a baby. I've made your company millions in the past 4 months. I've turned around underperforming properties and increased portfolio value by 18%. What have you done?" They were silent. "The hotel project moves forward as planned. You're either in or you're out. But if you're out, don't expect to work with the Montgomery Group again. Are we clear?" "Yes, Ms. Bennett," they said in unison. After the call, Nicole came in clapping. "That was amazing. No one gets to tell me I can't do this because I'm a mother. I'm doing both. And I'm going to be great at both." Hope woke up then crying for her feeding. I picked her up and held her close. "See that, baby girl? That's how you handle men who underestimate you." The next few months were a blur of late-night feedings, business calls, property visits, and learning to be a mother. It was exhausting. But it was also the happiest I'd ever been. The Hope Foundation expanded to 30 cities. We helped over 3,000 women in the first year. Women like I had been, pregnant, scared, and abandoned. But now they had support. Housing. Medical care. Job training. A future. I visited the Philadelphia location when Hope was 2 months old. I walked through the building, meeting the residents, hearing their stories. Each one reminded me of myself. One woman, 8 months pregnant, grabbed my hand. "Thank you," she said, tears in her eyes. "My boyfriend left me when I wouldn't get an abortion. I was sleeping in my car. This place saved my life." "You saved my life." "You saved your own life," I told her. "I just provided the tools. You're the one doing the work." That night, back in my penthouse, I rocked Hope to sleep and thought about Derek. About where he was now. What he was doing. I didn't care. He was part of my past. A painful chapter that was over. My future was here. In this room. With this baby. With this empire I was building. Derek had tried to break me. Instead, he freed me. And I'd never be trapped again. Hope was 3 months old when Derek made his final attempt. He showed up at the Hope Foundation in Philadelphia. He'd clearly been following news about my foundation visits, because he knew I'd be there that day. Security called me before I arrived. "Ms. Bennett, Derek Bennett is outside the building. He says he won't leave until he sees his daughter. Call the police. Have him removed for trespassing." Already done. They're on their way. But he's making a scene. There are reporters filming. I could have changed my plans, gone somewhere else. But I refused to let Derek control my schedule. When my car arrived, Derek was on the sidewalk with a handmade sign that read, "Let me see my daughter." Reporters swarmed as I got out of the car. Hope was in her carrier, protected by my security team. But Derek pushed through. "Simone, please, just let me meet her. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking." The police were holding him back, but his voice carried. "She's my daughter too. You can't just cut me out of her life. I have rights." I stopped walking, turned to face him. The cameras were rolling, but I didn't care. "You gave up your rights when you called her a mistake," I said clearly. "When you threw me out pregnant in the middle of winter with $200. When you stole my house and my savings to pay your gambling debts. You made your choice. Live with it. I was wrong. I'm sorry. But she deserves to know her father. She deserves a father who will love her unconditionally, who will protect her, who will teach her that she has value and worth. You can't give her those things because you don't believe women have value. You proved that when you chose Tiffany over me and your unborn child. Tiffany was a mistake. You're my wife. You're supposed to forgive me. I'm not your wife. I haven't been for months. The divorce was finalized last week. You're nothing to me, Derek. And you're nothing to Hope." The police moved him away as he screamed after me. But I didn't look back. Inside the building, my hands were shaking. Nicole took Hope from the carrier and placed her in my arms. "You did great," she said softly. "That took courage. Did I do the right thing? Keeping him from her?" "Yes. Because he doesn't want to be her father. He wants to use her to get to you. And you're protecting her from that." I held Hope close and breathed in her baby smell. Powder and milk and innocence. "I'll always protect you," I whispered to her. "Always." The confrontation made news. Opinion pieces debated whether I was right to keep Hope from Derek. Some people supported me. Others called me cruel. I didn't care about public opinion. I cared about my daughter. At 4 months, Hope started sleeping through the night. I'd wake up in a panic, checking to make sure she was breathing. But she'd just be sleeping peacefully, her tiny fists curled under her chin. At 5 months, she started laughing. Real belly laughs that made everyone around her smile. Nicole said she was the happiest baby she'd ever seen. "That's because she's safe and loved," Dr. Thompson said during a checkup. "Babies feel their mother's emotions. You're happy, so she's happy." I was happy. Despite everything with Derek, despite the stress of running a business empire, I was genuinely happy. The Montgomery Group continued to grow. We expanded into new markets, developed new properties. The portfolio value hit $400 billion. But more importantly, the Hope Foundation was changing lives. We'd helped over 5,000 women in 18 months. We provided housing, medical care, job training, and childcare to mothers who had nowhere else to turn. I hired some of those women to work for the Montgomery Group. Admin assistants, property managers, accounting staff. Women who'd been abandoned and dismissed, proving they were capable and valuable. One of them, Jennifer, became my assistant director for the Hope Foundation. She'd been homeless and pregnant when she came to us. Now she was helping other women escape the same situation. "You gave me hope when I had none," she told me. "I want to do that for others." When Hope turned 6 months old, I took her to visit properties for the first time. We went to Miami, where I was overseeing the completion of a new affordable housing development. Hope charmed everyone. The construction workers, the property managers, the future tenants. She'd smile at anyone who looked at her. "She's going to be a heartbreaker," one of the workers said. "She's going to be powerful," I corrected. "She's going to change the world." That night, in our Miami hotel suite, I rocked Hope to sleep and thought about my Aunt Helena. About how she'd watched me from afar. How she'd wanted me to find my own strength before she helped me. "I wish you could meet her," I whispered to the photo of Helena I kept on my phone. "I wish you could see what you gave us. Not just the money. The chance to build something that matters." Hope stirred in my arms, making soft baby sounds. I looked down at her perfect face and made a promise. "I'm going to teach you everything, baby girl. I'm going to teach you to be strong and kind. To help others. To never let anyone make you feel small. To build empires and change lives." She opened her eyes and looked at me. Those deep brown eyes that seemed to understand everything. And I'm going to make sure you never doubt that you're loved. Derek tried to contact me a few more times over the next months. Letters that security intercepted. Emails that were filtered. But I never responded. He was in my past. Hope and I were the future. One afternoon, when Hope was 8 months old and crawling everywhere, Nicole brought me news. Tiffany is engaged. To a banker in New York. The wedding is next month. Good for her, I said, meaning it. Derek tried to contact her, but she blocked him. He's been posting on social media about how he lost everything. He didn't lose everything. He threw it away. There's a difference. I picked up Hope, who was trying to climb onto my lap. We didn't lose anything, I told my daughter. We gained everything. 1 year after my daughter's birth, I stood at the window of my penthouse watching the sunrise over New York City. Hope was asleep in her nursery, finally sleeping through the night consistently at 12 months old. The Montgomery Real Estate Group portfolio had grown to $350 billion. We own properties in 53 countries now. Our annual revenue had increased to $22 billion. But those numbers weren't what made me proud. The Hope Foundation had expanded to 45 cities. We'd helped over 8,000 women and their children in 2 years. 3,000 of those women now had jobs in their own apartments. 200 had started their own businesses. 50 had gone back to school. I'd created a scholarship program for children born in our facilities. Hope's Legacy, I called it. Every child born to a Hope Foundation resident would receive full college tuition when they turned 18. You're changing the world, Patricia had told me last week. Your aunt would be so proud. I was proud too. Not just of the business success, but of the lives we'd changed. Nicole entered with coffee and the morning briefing. We have a problem in London, she said. Well, not a problem exactly. More of an opportunity. Tell me. There's a property coming up for sale. An entire block in central London. 20 buildings. The owner is desperate to sell quickly. Catherine thinks we should buy it, but the price is steep. 15 billion. I thought about it. What would we do with it? Catherine has a proposal. Convert 10 of the buildings into affordable housing. Use 5 for commercial spaces that we rent to small businesses owned by women. And turn the remaining 5 into a mega Hope Foundation facility with medical offices, childcare, job training, and temporary housing. I love it. Tell Catherine to move forward. This was what power felt like. Not control or dominance. The ability to help people. To create opportunities. To change systems that weren't working. Hope woke up and I went to get her. She was standing in her crib, holding onto the rails, bouncing with excitement. Mama, she said clearly. My heart swelled. Her first word. Mama. Yes, baby girl. Mama's here. I picked her up and carried her to the kitchen. Nicole had already prepared her breakfast, mashed bananas and oatmeal. Big day today, I told Hope as she ate. We're visiting the new Philadelphia facility. Want to see where Mama works? She clapped her hands, getting banana everywhere. Later that morning we flew to Philadelphia. It was my first time back to the city since Derek's court battle. I'd avoided it, not wanting to face those memories. But I was ready now. The new Hope Foundation facility in Philadelphia was our largest. 50 apartments. An on-site medical clinic. A full daycare center. Job training spaces. And counseling offices. We'd built it on the site of an old warehouse. The location wasn't fancy, but it was accessible and safe. Jennifer met me at the entrance with 30 women and their children. These were the current residents. Everyone wanted to meet you, Jennifer said. You're like a myth to them. The woman who survived and thrived. I walked through the group, shaking hands, meeting babies, hearing stories. Each woman's story was different but also the same. Betrayal. Abandonment. Fear. And then hope. One woman, 9 months pregnant, started crying when she saw me. I'm sorry, she said. I'm just so grateful. My boyfriend kicked me out 2 weeks ago. I was sleeping in my car. I thought I was going to have my baby alone. And then I found this place. You saved my life. I hugged her gently. You're going to be an amazing mother. And you're not alone anymore. After the tour, I stood in the main common area and addressed everyone. I know what you're going through, I said. I was exactly where you were 18 months ago. Pregnant. Homeless. Scared. Abandoned by someone I thought loved me. They listened quietly, many nodding. But here's what I learned. You're stronger than you think. You're capable of more than you know. And you're not defined by the man who left you. You're defined by how you rise from this. I gestured to the building around us. This place exists because I survived. Because I rebuilt. Because I refused to stay down. And you're going to do the same. You're going to use these resources, get back on your feet, and build lives that amaze you. After I finished, several women came to thank me personally. One asked if she could take a photo with me and Hope. My daughter needs to see that strong women exist, she said. That we can overcome anything. Yes, we can, I agreed. As we were leaving, a man approached. For a split second I thought it was Derek. But it wasn't. It was an older man in a worn suit. Miss Bennett? I'm Robert Chin. I'm a reporter for the Philadelphia Tribune. Could I ask you a few questions? I almost said no. But then I thought about all those women inside who needed to hear stories of survival. 5 minutes, I said. You've become incredibly successful in a short time. But you rarely do interviews. Why? Because I'm not interested in fame. I'm interested in impact. Every minute I spend on interviews is a minute I could spend helping someone. Fair enough. Last question. Your ex-husband Derek Bennett has been posting on social media that he made a mistake and still loves you. He says he wants another chance. Any response? I looked at the reporter directly. Derek Bennett had his chance. 8 years of chances. He threw them all away. I don't hate him. I don't think about him at all. He's irrelevant to my life and my daughter's life. Do you think you'll ever remarry? Maybe someday. If I meet someone who respects me, supports me, and treats my daughter well. But I'm not looking. I don't need a man to be happy. I have my daughter, my work, and my purpose. That's enough. That evening, I attended a charity gala in New York. One of those events where wealthy people gather to donate money and be seen. Normally, I avoided them, but this one benefited children's hospitals. I couldn't say no. I wore a green dress that Nicole had picked out. Hope stayed home with Nicole and the nanny we'd recently hired. The event was boring. Rich people talking about their yachts and vacation homes. I was about to leave early when someone tapped my shoulder. I turned to find Derek standing there. He looked different. Older. Worn down. His suit was cheap. His hair was graying. This was not the confident man I'd married. Simone, please don't run. I just want to talk. My security team moved toward him, but I waved them back. You have 1 minute, Derek? I'm working construction now, he said. Paying off the restitution to you. Living in a studio apartment. It's not much, but it's honest work. Good for you. I think about you every day. About Hope. About what I lost. I know I can't fix what I broke. But I want you to know I'm sorry. Really, truly sorry. I studied his face. He seemed sincere. But sincerity didn't change the past. I believe you're sorry. But you're sorry about the consequences, not your actions. You're sorry you're poor while I'm rich. You're sorry Tiffany left you. You're sorry you're alone. But you're not sorry you hurt me. Because you still don't think you did anything wrong. That's not true. Derek, answer one question honestly. If I had never inherited this money, if I was still broke and pregnant in that motel, would you have come back? He opened his mouth, closed it, couldn't answer. That's what I thought. You don't love me, Derek. You never did. You loved what I could give you. First it was a stable home and support. Then you thought it was going to be Tiffany's money. Now it's my inheritance. But you never loved me as a person. I did love you. I do love you. No. You love the idea of me. The version of me that would take you back and share everything with you. But that woman doesn't exist anymore. I'm someone new now. Someone who knows her worth. I started to walk away, then turned back. I hope you find peace, Derek. I really do. But you won't find it with me. I left him standing there and walked out into the New York night. My driver was waiting. I got in and pulled out my phone to see a photo Nicole had sent. Hope in her pajamas, holding her favorite stuffed elephant, smiling at the camera. That was my life now. That perfect baby girl. My empire. My purpose. I didn't need Derek. I never had. 3 months later, I was featured on the cover of Forbes. The real estate queen at 32. How Simone Bennett built a $350 billion empire while raising a baby. The article detailed my story. The abandonment. The inheritance. The rapid growth of the Montgomery Group. The Hope Foundation. My daughter. But what I loved most was the quote they used. Success isn't about revenge. It's about building something so beautiful that the people who hurt you become irrelevant. I didn't win by destroying my ex-husband. I won by creating a life he could never touch. On Hope's first birthday, I threw a party at the penthouse. Not a lavish celebrity party, but an intimate gathering of the people who mattered. Nicole, Patricia, Dr. Thompson, Jennifer from the Hope Foundation, Catherine from London, and several other women whose lives had intersected with mine. And the 30 women from the Philadelphia Hope Foundation facility who I'd invited to New York for the weekend, all expenses paid. Hope wore a pink dress and a tiny crown. She toddled around the room, charming everyone, sharing her toys, laughing her infectious laugh. I watched her and felt overwhelming gratitude. Not for the money, not for the empire, but for her. She was why I survived, why I fought, why I built this life. She's going to be extraordinary, Patricia said, standing beside me. She already is, I replied. That night, after everyone left and Hope was asleep, I stood at my window looking out at the city. I thought about that night 18 months ago. Standing on the sidewalk in the freezing cold. Pregnant. Homeless. Broken. I thought about how far I'd come. How much I'd built. How many lives I'd changed. Derek had meant to destroy me. Instead, he freed me. He freed me to discover who I really was. What I was capable of. What I deserved. I was a billionaire. A real estate mogul. A philanthropist. A mother. But more than any of that, I was free. Free from toxic relationships. Free from self-doubt. Free from anyone who didn't value me. I'd built an empire. Not just of buildings and properties, but of hope and possibility. And I was just getting started. My phone buzzed. A text from Jennifer. 3 more women moved into their own apartments today. Thank you for giving them hope. I smiled and replied, they gave themselves hope. I just opened the door. Hope stirred in her nursery. I went to check on her. She was sleeping peacefully, her tiny chest rising and falling. We did it, baby girl, I whispered. We survived. We thrived. We won. She sighed in her sleep and smiled. Tomorrow I would continue building, expanding the foundation, growing the empire, changing lives. But tonight, I just stood there watching my daughter sleep and feeling grateful for the strength I'd found in my darkest moment. Derek had thrown me away thinking I was worthless. He was wrong. I was priceless, and I'd built a kingdom to prove it.